Action.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. We've got some tips if you're a seller on eBay you don't want to miss. And we've got 5 of them for you today. They're going to help you be a better eBay seller, a better business person. So let's get started. Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Prof Sales.
Oh, and I'm Karin.
And this is the Prof Sales YouTube channel where we talk about business, being an entrepreneur. We talk about your mindset, how you can be successful, all these great things, and much, much more. But we also do a lot of these videos as live shows. So you will see us interacting with people in the chat. So if you're watching us for the first time, we have a live chat stream going. You can always join in when we're live like this. And then even if you just see the video later, you can leave a comment or question.
YouTube has this awesome reminder feature that if you click on the little dinger bell on the channel thingy, it'll remind you. I got my first Prof Sales will be on in 30 minutes reminder 30 minutes ago. It was so cool. So
she did. She was like, hey, somebody's going live. And it was us.
There you go.
So let's get started. So I initially wanted to call this show 5 little tips to improve your eBay business, because I thought because of this idea about, what's the best way to say it, Karin? Like just little things being so impactful.
Yeah, well, it stems from a conversation that we started having right before we went to sleep that went on forever.
Yeah, we're going to talk about past girlfriends and wives and things like that in this video. So this is going to be great. No chance of a problem with this show. But in all seriousness, we're going to take you back in time. And we're going to take you back to, and because, you know, I'm one of these people who I think about the reason behind things and not just that things happen, or at least I try to.
He thinks a lot.
It's true. It's a curse. But I started thinking about my life and how I've gotten to this point in my life and why. I mean, don't you guys ever do that? Maybe a show of hands in the chat, you know, or if you're watching later. I mean, do you ever stop and think, how did I get to this point? Whatever this point is, good, bad, you know, rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy, whatever it is, married, unmarried, with kids, without kids, whatever your situation, just how did you get here? And I realized something, because Karin and I were talking about us. We were talking about our relationship. And obviously, we're not going to tell you everything we were talking about. But although that might be the best watched video ever if we do that.
Just stay with us, people. It's going to come full circle. It's going to be awesome.
I promise. I'm going to get there. So I'm going somewhere. So 1993. How many of you were alive in 1993?
Oh, do you realize that maybe there might be some that weren't?
Okay, well, if you weren't, that's okay. We won't hold it against you, your youth, and but in 1993, I was a graduating senior in college, and it was the night of graduation. And some people are saying, "Whoa, me!" And I just graduated from college, and I went to a friend's house where we always hung out for parties and all that good stuff. And we're not going to get all into that mess, but there was a girl there that I wanted to ask out. Okay. And I had been wanting to ask her out all year long, sort of, but I was terrible with girls, and maybe some would still say I still am, right? I just wasn't. I was not confident, whatever. So for whatever reason that night, maybe it was liquid courage, a little bit of that. See, this is like full disclosure. This is getting crazy.
This is hilarious.
I decided I was going to ask her out, and I'm like, you know what? I just graduated. She's still she was going to be a junior the next year. And I thought, you know, if she says no, I don't have to see her anymore. I've already graduated. She's still in school, whatever, no harm, no foul. So I asked her out, and she said yes, which surprised me. But so we went on a date like a week later, and we dated for about 2 years. And not long after that, around that 2-year mark, we decided to get married. So we got married. I was living in Virginia at the time, not here in Charlotte. That's important. So we got married, and her mom worked for a retail company. She worked for Kmart. And through that, I worked at some other jobs, but I was able to secure an interview with a district manager, mainly because of her mom, who offered me a job as an assistant manager at Kmart. So I took the job, and I was working there in Virginia, and they moved me, and that's kind of what they did. I was a trainee, and then I was sort of an assistant, And then I was going to be a full-time, what they called a soft lines manager, who was over like the clothing, the hosiery, the bedding, the Martha Stewart crap, all that stuff. So I eventually got moved to Charlotte. So here in Charlotte, I was still working for Kmart. It was not a great company to work for, and I ended up eventually leaving Kmart to go work for Gap. Right around that time, my wife and I at that time started having some marital problems, and we separated and unfortunately divorced. So that relationship ended, but here I was in Charlotte. So here I was in Charlotte, and for whatever reason, I met some friends who worked at Gap, which was a store I got the new job at that I left Kmart for, that played pool. So I started playing pool with them, playing in a local pool league. Well, one thing led to another there, and that led me to meet a guy who I eventually, he's kind of a friend, but not like a super friend, but he was an acquaintance. And he worked for another company. He worked for AT&T, who eventually I ended up applying for a job with them because I left Gap. It just wasn't satisfying me the way I thought it would. And I ended up working for AT&T. Well, because I left AT&T, I actually ended up moving from the part of town that I was in to a different part of Charlotte. And I'm probably leaving out a lot of parts here. I'm leaving out some parts. I moved to a different part of Charlotte, and I unfortunately got hurt on the job at AT&T. And when you're hurt like that, you really can't work. I was out on a claim, and I was having to sit at home. I wasn't allowed to work and so on for a bit. And I actually jumped on to, I was not dating anybody at the time. I'd actually jumped on to a online dating service, and lo and behold, whose name and whose photo shows up? That one. So, so we ended up connecting on that service. Well, one thing led to another. We ended up, having a relationship together. What's the right word? I don't even know what to say.
I have no idea where you're going.
And it was interesting because we ended up moving to a different part of Charlotte together, which we probably wouldn't have met had I not gotten the job and gotten hurt and, started dating again, because it was really hard to work that job and date. You remember right there at the beginning of it, I was super busy, working crazy hours, just out, going in early in the day and coming home late at night, 6 days a week. And Karn and I, formed, we formed a strong bond, a strong relationship, and we moved to a different part of Charlotte. And because I got laid off at the other job, I ended up having to get more into reselling. So that led me to selling on eBay, which eventually led me to one of Steve Raiken's videos, because I was like, I want to know how to sell better on it, because I always want to do things better and learn things, which told me more about clothing, which led to me eventually reaching out to Steve Raiken about, a question or something. And he gave me some feedback, and he gave me some feedback about doing videos on YouTube, because I asked him something about one of his videos. I'm like, hey, well, maybe I could do that. I taught in the interim in there too, which I'm covering that part of it. So the next thing you know, I form a YouTube channel and start talking to people about selling on YouTube and selling on eBay. And long story short, I'm here talking to you on YouTube. I'm here talking to you about, I'm here selling things on eBay. I'm here with Karen. I'm here in Charlotte, all because I asked a girl out in 1993. Now, I don't know if you could follow all that, but little did I know 24 years ago, that one decision would dictate the next 24 years of my life. I couldn't have predicted it, because if I would have never asked her out, I would have never came to Charlotte, which means I would have never had any of those jobs, which means I wouldn't have learned about all those retail opportunities. I never would have met Karen. I never would have met my friend who I worked the other job at, where I got hurt at. I never probably would have even gone on to YouTube to sell anything. I wouldn't be here talking to you now. So that's like a huge number of just thing after thing after thing. But I can tell you something, guys. None of those things I knew were going to lead to the next thing. I had no idea that making this one little decision was going to lead to this one, to this one, to this one, to this one.
Right.
But all those things led me to this point where I'm at now. you know, for better or for worse. So I just wanted to point that out, because you're making little decisions in your business, in your personal life, with your relationships right now. They're going to cascade through the rest of your life.
Mhm.
You don't know how. You don't really see it sometimes. You can't predict it. Things you're doing, they're going to turn into big things. I don't think the big things are really the important things a lot of times. I think it's the little things. Lauren and I both went on a dating site. That little thing, which led to a big thing. Well, we couldn't have known that. We didn't even know each other existed. Somebody said I'm going to need to see a spreadsheet on that. That's pretty funny.
One probably exists, but the whole philosophical part of it is where we got into this, you know, overthinking debate and how it links to the show today. With us, it'll make sense. Is that too often we focus on the big stuff? You know, what college are we going to go to, or what this am I mean, whatever the decisions are, right?
Right.
But when in fact, where you are in this moment can all be traced back to something really, really small. And what you thought at the time was insignificant, but has made the biggest impact. So we thought, and I'm always joking, you know, we'll go drive down the road and I'll make a joke. Oh, that's a topic for another show or something. And so last night, maybe it was a challenge, maybe it was a gentle ribbing, I don't know. But I said, all right, well, that's your show topic. Focusing on the small, you know, what makes the biggest impact. You know, someone in the chat said it's the butterfly effect.
Right.
You know,
somewhat.
The ripples that go out into the universe and have an effect that you may never even know. But in this instance, we wanted to talk today about little things that you can do that will ultimately make a big impact on your business.
So let's jump into it. And I know that was a long intro, and I hope you stuck with me, but I felt like we needed to talk about it because these are little things, probably in the big scheme of things, but they illustrate the point that the little things turn into medium-sized things, which turn into big things, which turn into life-changing things sometimes. So I got 5 tips here for you. I think that are little things you could do right now. And some of these even I had to go back and say, you know, I need to do a better job of that. So number 1 is developing a daily ritual around your work. Now, what I mean by that, literally, what do you do when you get up or when you decide to work? Now, if you have an 8 to 5 job, you kind of know, right? Like you go in, there's a place you sit or a place you work at, a station, an area, and there's things you have to do. There's paperwork that comes to you or computer files or whatever. But if you're working for yourself, you may not have that, but you need a daily ritual. And I'm going to say that you need to develop that on a daily basis. I've been using Trello, which I am going to share with you guys. I'm still kind of working out a few kinks of it, but I think that having this daily ritual will give you a lot of comfort. And I think it's one of those things that's incremental. It just builds on itself. Like every day there's this ritual you go in this part of your business, these 3 things, these 4 things, these 6 things, whatever it is, you just do. You create a habit out of it. You've got to commit to it. And I think you've got to do it daily.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you think I'm going to like do all my packing and shipping on Thursday or something, like if you have some, I don't think that works. Like I think daily is better for a lot of people because it gives you a sense of assuredness when you get up or when you start working on something. You think, I'm going to do these things every day that I'm working without fail. And like if you're an eBay seller, for instance, it might be listing, it might be packing and shipping, answering customer questions. You know, those might be things you do literally every single day without fail. So I think that's an important one. And I think having it daily makes it measurable because you can check off that you did it every day. You can have a daily list. You know, this is what I do Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, whatever your work week looks like. Maybe it's Monday through Sunday.
Doing it over and over again reinforces the habit. And there's not a really good place to put, you know, my 2 cents on number 1 later in the list. But, you know, once you get that routine and once you're doing daily or within the week, you know, Mondays, I'm going to do this, Tuesdays, I'm going to do this, whatever. So repetition will it's a little thing, create a habit, right? But then there's also paying attention to detail. That's my contribution to number one. Be specific and, oh, what's a better word for it? Deliberate from the start. You know, one of the things when we were talking about creating this list and what we could put on it was, I happen to think it's important that when you're starting and I was going to get an example, but I didn't have time to make it for you, but how you send a package out. This is my example. So you can shove that pair of jeans in there, maybe have a packing slip, maybe not, haphazardly smash it on there. It's crinkled, it gets wet, it gets smeared, whatever. You put the auto adhesive thingy on there and you smack it down, it's crooked. It gets through the mail. Maybe it gets there in one piece, whatever, but it gets there and it looks yucky, right? Nobody's going to be happy receiving that. And remember, perception is everything. So, or you can, care about how you put that label on, include a packing slip, maybe even write a personal thank you. Some people put in cards that say, hey, glad you bought this. Consider leaving me great feedback. I have these little emoji stickers that I put on the outside that have little happy heart gold stars on them or whatever. And that goes out into the universe. So what you're doing in that instance with your good habits, small choices that you're making that are going to impact greater down the line in your future, is that you're laying a solid foundation for feedback, you're creating the foundation for your business that's going to sustain you as you go forward. So, and
someone had asked, does this make your business feel more like a job and mundane? Maybe. If that's your perception, sure, it could. But I think there are things like, I think having a daily ritual around your business is not mundane. What you do during that daily ritual may be mundane. But having a ritual around these things I have to kind of do every day to be successful. And there are little things, because we know if you don't ship something out within your handling time, you're going to get dinged by eBay. If you don't pack it up well, like Karin said, it's going to get to the customer, it might be damaged, which is going to affect your feedback and maybe your ability to sell on the platform. So these little things have a big impact collectively once they sort of go together.
And I didn't see the question or who posted it, but if you're struggling with creating those habits, I'm going to challenge you to do it. And I don't know if you're part-time or full-time. Jason is full-time. So we've found, especially when we're home together, if we don't have structure, if we don't have a set schedule and, we're going to clean shoes now, or we're going to list now or whatever, then the day just gets out of control.
Oh, it's gone.
It's chaos. We spend, we walk extra, or, we'll just stop by the grocery and do this or whatever. And then the good, productive part of the day is gone. So mundane, I don't think so. I would challenge you to create at least somewhat of a structure.
Yeah. You're improving your business, and that's never mundane.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like it, but that's okay. Number 2, researching one. Now this is good for clothing sellers, but you could argue in other areas too. Researching one new brand per week. All right. So what I mean by researching, going in and looking at a category and learning about a brand, learning how many listings are up currently, how many have completed, how many have sold versus that completed, what kind of average selling price they have, what sort of photos and item specifics did people put in their listings that did sell, what do people seem to be gravitating towards within that brand versus they're not buying for as much or as often. You could take 15 minutes a week and learn about one brand. That's how much time it really takes. It doesn't take you any longer than that. Now, you could spend an hour or more doing it, but one brand a week that you don't know anything about. And for those of you who are out there saying, well, I know everything about my niche. No, you don't. There's some brand out there. There's some item. There's some section, some category that you don't know that much about. And if you can't find anything different than another brand, I would suggest you even look at another niche. Now, that will take a little longer than 15 minutes, obviously, because a niche has a lot of different brands and sections to it. But I'm going to make a really concerted effort to do that with jeans, because I realized recently when I was doing a different project that there's a lot of jean brands out there that I've never run across. I've just never run across them.
Well, and there's even some that we've never even heard of.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know. But I thought I could just go in and type the word jeans in eBay and find some brands very easily. I could even pull off probably 5 or 6 throw them in a list in Trello, and then each week, 1 day a week at a specific time or whatever works for you in your schedule, you take 15 minutes and you say, I'm going to learn about this brand. I'm going to make a few notes on it. So I'm going to know something about it if I do run across it. So I think figuring out like new things to sell and learning about them, I think that keeps it interesting. Don't you, Karin?
Yes, most definitely.
You say niche, I say Kaniche. That's funny.
Or Nietzsche. Isn't that an author?
Nietzsche. All right, number 3, reaching out to one new contact in your field this month. Now, it depends on, and again, you can do so over the course of a month. It depends on what your field is. Like for me, I do YouTube shows, so I will a lot of times reach out to another YouTube content creator. It could be a friend or somebody you see that posts a lot, maybe in a Facebook group that you're in, of resellers or business people or like-minded people. There's tremendous power in networking. And I don't know why we're all so apt. I mean, we want to ask questions and get answers to things, but we don't want to take time to develop a relationship. You know, and that's kind of weird when you think about it, because the relationship, you're going to learn things from that person. They're going to answer questions you didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
Down the road, if you develop a relationship with them instead of just, hey, does anybody know if this is authentic or not? Or does anybody ever seen this before? Why not reach out to one person in your niche, in a group you're in? It could be on Instagram, it could be on Facebook. And just say, hey, I've watched your videos. Hey, I've seen your interaction in the group. You've talked about your sales. You've talked about this or that. And just connect with them. We all seek connection. We all crave connection as human beings. And people, if you do it with respect and you do it out of, with humility, I think people respond to it. Most people will. They might shut you down and say, hey, I just don't have time to talk to you about this. Great. Move on to the next person. But commit to doing one of those a week, or excuse me, one of those a month. I think one a month is good. If you can do one a week, great. But one a month is, I think, plenty. And someone said, who wants to be in a relationship? Yeah. But I think, we all have these relationships. It's not that we don't want relationships. We just want relationships that matter and are good. It's the ones that aren't good that we were like, oh.
Well, and if you reach out to somebody, and it also includes local business owners, like there's no reason why you can't network with the church that's having the big attic sale, or the thrift shop owner. Hey, if you get a line on, shoes or board games or puzzles or whatever, give me a call.
Or email me or whatever.
Yeah, I'll make you an offer. But we're living proof that you will live through and prosper from one-on-one relationships with other resellers. I just don't know where this, I want to have all the knowledge to myself stuff comes from, like we have Luke. We met him at an IHOP, right? Is that where we first met him that first time?
Well, the Goodwill and then the IHOP, yeah.
Yeah, and now we have a great friend. And we have these meetups, and we've met these amazing people. We've made relationships through these meetups where people that own a store, we go and to benefit them, we maybe go and buy lots of their thingies. And I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can benefit and to benefit others. There's something to be said about that. And I know that's not what this today is about, but man,
you're right. And you can't,
pay it forward.
If you never give anything away, guys, you'll never be able to receive anything new. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. And to Kelly's point in the chat, yeah, there is a competitive nature in us as resellers, but your competition is with yourself. It's not with other people. Because, think about it logically for a second. Think if you saw a reseller out there who was doing $10 a month in sales, and you said, well, I'm doing 11. I'm much better than them. Really? That doesn't make sense. And you can always make those kind of weird, arbitrary lines like that. Just to be doing better than someone else doesn't mean you're doing it better necessarily, like in terms of all terms of your business. And just if you have less results in one area doesn't mean you're poor, you're inferior to them. You can learn something from pretty much everyone if they're willing to give and you're willing to receive. And vice versa. It needs to be a two-way street.
Well, and a lot of people say often how lonely reselling is. it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can meet your buddy at the IHOP and then go get a coffee, or or get a coffee at the IHOP and get some clothes at the Goodwill right next door or whatever. But it doesn't have to be. And I would almost guarantee, I'm going back to all those Steve Harvey funnies we watched last night. But I would almost guarantee you that you will learn something from your new friend and they from you. I mean,
right.
There is not, if we say one thing over and over again on this channel, is that there is not one way to do everything only. No, myriad ways to do myriad things. And you just have to, compare notes and talk to somebody, whether it's here or IG, Facebook, whatever, or in person. But you're going to find that your way might be working for you, but it is not the only way. And it's not necessarily the best way. And we found just by, casual conversation that, oh, you can actually do that on your phone if you just do this. Or, oh, did you know that if you did this to the promoted listing, the analytics will come out? I mean, there's all different ways.
Yeah.
So just give it a try.
Virtually everything I've learned about eBay, for instance, I learned from someone else. Someone. I mean, it may have even been a web page. It may have been a conversation. It may have been a direct question. It may have been a comment on a YouTube channel. It may have been a post on Facebook, but I learned it from someone else. I didn't learn. I mean, yeah, I went and learned some things on my own, but even there, I was pointed in a direction from someone else. Their experience, their comments, their results. So you learn from other people. Number 4, source one new type of location this month. So that's one we are guilty of not doing very well with, I would say.
No, we're not.
And what I mean by that is you source somewhere you've never sourced before. It may be a completely different type of sourcing. Maybe you're like, I don't really like getting up at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday and hitting the yard sales. Try it. Try it. Have a strategy, figure it out, go do it one morning, see how it goes. Maybe you'll decide, I still don't like it and I'm not doing anymore. On the other hand, you may say, this is kind of cool. I found some great stuff. I enjoy talking to people, being out in the air, the fresh air. Or maybe it's just you go back to somewhere you haven't been for a long time. Maybe it's a different town. Maybe it's a different part of your town, a different store, a different area, what have you. But commit to doing one of those a month. It keeps it new and interesting because we get in a rut. We are guilty of it. You're like, I'm just going to go to these places and get this stuff at this price and do this. And it's not saying you can't have a niche, but it's saying that if you have a niche, you may need to go and find other places where that niche can be, you can utilize your skills to sell in it. So, I mean, I can find jeans, for instance, or shoes, of course, at a thrift store, but we can also find them at an estate sale. We can find them at a yard sale, garage sale, a consignment shop. There's other places we could find them at a listing on Craigslist. That's another place. So one new type of location each month.
Well, and businesses are going in and out of business all the time. And, we should get better once a month at least in doing a search. If thrift stores are your thing, you've got your smartphone, put it to work for you, do a search for thrift stores. And, we found that we actually had one that we would go to periodically that went out of business. And we were planning on going with a large group of people if memory
That was
serves.
surprising.
So like within the week they had gone out of business and we had no idea. But, opportunities are there. Just keep yourself. It's like news or being up on your current events, being up on your current opportunities for your business.
Agreed. 5. This could be the most important one.
Oh boy.
So I want to know by a show of virtual hands here in the chat, or later if you're watching this and you want to comment, you have a to-do list. A list where you say, these are all the things I need to do. I've had to-do list of my to-do list. I mean, at various points, right? How many of you have had a to-do list? I would bet that you may have some scraps of paper laying around, maybe use an app, maybe use a website, maybe use a spreadsheet. I don't know what you use, but I'm guessing virtually everyone who's watching this show right now at some point has had a to-do list. You have been guilty, guilty is such a bad word, of not doing everything on your to-do list. I'm guilty. I have on my to-do list to stop being guilty of not doing my to-do list. So it seems kind of circular. Challenge you all for the next month. We can say it's September. That's fine. And I'm challenging myself too. List of some things that, shall we say, are not priorities, super high on the list, to be done. Now, for a lot of you with eBay, this might be the so-called death piles, right? You've got a tote, a room, a football stadium full of crap, whatever it is that you need to list, go through, sort, photograph, fumigate, set on fire, whatever it is you need to do with it, and you just haven't done it for whatever reason. Sit here and play the blame game. We're not going to play. We're not going to say, oh, I've just been putting that off for so long. I'm just terrible, blah, blah. Okay, stop with that. That doesn't work. It doesn't accomplish anything. Whatever you have on that to-do list, pick one thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe your whole to-do list is the death pile, and you got 10 totes of stuff, and say, this month, I am taking care of one of those totes. Not all of them, just one. Start with one. If you feel like doing a second one or third one, go nuts. But commit to doing one. Commit to doing one this month. Maybe you need to donate your defects. Something that you can do manageably in this next month, and which in this video, the first of this coming month, we'll make this video timeless. We have a first of a month coming up now, September. But let's just say in general, it could be the first of the coming month, and say, I'm going to do at least one thing on that list. And Karin, you have something you want to share on that too.
Well, yeah, I think that part of the problem with lists and lists about lists and lists about lists about lists is that they just get so long, or you get 20 Post-its on your bulletin board. It becomes overwhelming. And we say a lot, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's our suggestion to you, is just pick one of those things. But a lot of folks that come to this channel are new, and they're so new perhaps that you haven't even started yet. So my one thing for you to do is to get started. We see so many times people get stuck in information overload, analysis paralysis, where we have to learn all the thingies. It's not enough to have my own common sense and read the, terms of service for eBay and whatever. It's, oh, I got to see how he does it, she does it. It will drive you crazy, and it becomes a barrier. You become your own.
You keep finding reasons to not move forward.
Yeah, you're your own barrier to start. I won't even say like success or progress, because you haven't even started yet. So that's the challenge for anybody that's here that's new, is to just get started. And for me in the beginning, that was a big thing. I think I was, in the interest of full transparency here, I didn't really do very much. And I was kind of acting like a spoiled child. eBay to me became like, that's a whole nother story. But eBay to me was almost like a chore. Like I felt like I had to do it because you were telling me to do it, or that, I had this pile of stuff. No, but it's just how it works.
Yeah.
But it just becomes this, this whatever. I always get phrases. And
it becomes another thing to
like
do.
Like an albatross around your neck.
Yeah.
Is that a real phrase?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So it becomes this thing, right? And we just create excuse upon excuse why we're not going to get started today, or why tomorrow's a better day, or, oh, I've got to go get my hair cut or the grass mowed or whatever. And we just keep pushing off. And here's the real tragedy in that. We're in not getting started, in not potentially risking making mistakes, we're missing out on learning, making money, yes.
And success, yeah.
But we're missing out on all of those things. And they go into making a business. Nobody, except for maybe, Adam. I'm just kidding. So nobody gets into business and does everything right all of the time. I'm the mom in me will be right first to tell you that I've got an almost adult child living in this house that we purposefully set up to fail all the time, because
that sounded great.
but you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be out in the world on his own at some point.
Yeah.
And he's got to be able to, get his pants hemmed, or if he's got to get his suit dry cleaned, or if he's got to feed himself, he's got to be able to, you know,
Right.
whatever.
He's got to learn life skills.
And part of reselling online, whether it's eBay, Etsy, Amazon, whatever, you're going to make mistakes. And
Sure.
I think we get paralyzed by the fear of that, you know, and what's the worst that can happen? Well, none of it is terrible. None of it is
suspended and banned from the platform.
But you can get past that. I mean,
do something else.
There's no reason why your actions or inactions should prevent you from even doing it. So when number 5 came up, and it was just to do one thing on your list, I couldn't help but, think of all the people that the number one thing on your list should be just to get started.
Right.
And it's so much fun. I can remember the first thing that I sold was this pack of socks. Isn't that ironic, Kelly, that the first thing I ever sold on eBay was like a 6-pack of Docker socks, I think, or something. And we were in a Goodwill, and my little cha-chingy thing went off. And
she jumped and ran towards me.
Oh no, that's not all I did. So full truth here. I held up my phone and I'm on the other end of the store and I'm like, oh my God. And I ran over. I showed you. I
thought something was wrong.
Yeah, he thought
I wasn't sure. I'm going.
I went, what cha-ching? And then I ran over to Tiffany and she was in the other part of like another store. And I'm like, look at my cha-ching. And I did the happy cha-ching dance. But there's victories. Are there going to be losses? Yes. But what is it? That's the battle, not the war. You're in this for the long term. You want to make money. You want to learn. You want to grow. You're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up over it. Move on. Get started. Yep. That's my number 5 contribution.
Agreed.
Mic dropped.
All right. So I hope those 5 things help you guys. Just to reiterate, developing a daily ritual around your work. So that's every day. So there's the time frame and what you're doing. Researching one new brand per week. Reaching out to one new contact in your field this month. Source one new type of location this month, and complete one to-do that has been on your list for a while this month. Just one thing to do. And I think if you do those 5 things, guys, over the next, say, month, the next 30 days, I think you're going to have a real sense of satisfaction. And it's also going to help your business. No doubt about that. But more importantly, it's going to help your mental processes, because you're going to think, I can accomplish things. I can get things done. And we love to feel like we got things accomplished and done. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like that? It's just we beat ourselves up for all kinds of reasons and don't let ourselves feel like that because we feel like there's always something else to do. And you know, right, there is always something else to do. But you've got to take a little time to smell the roses if you're able to get these things done. And you're going to see improvements in your business and, more importantly, your mental approach to them. So.
Well, and you know what you could do, like on any of it, like to have some fun with it, like on the things to do thing. If you need to be challenged or motivated in a different kind of way, put everything on a little piece of paper and a hat and draw it randomly.
Oh, that's great.
And so then you'll never know.
And it's like fun.
Just make it something different. And I know that sounds maybe a little elementary or whatever it may sound like to you, but whatever gets you through the day. And this sort of adds an unknown element. And if that helps you, then by all means, let's help you. And
agreed. All right, guys. Well, listen, we've got about 120 people watching. So thank you very much for that. That's awesome. Great turnout on a Monday morning or afternoon, I guess it is.
If you're new to the channel, we hope you'll stay and come back. You can subscribe below. Definitely select that thumbs up thingy down there. Show us that you like us and like what we're doing, because it's all about that, right? No, it's not. But it would be nice. We like the thumbs up.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions too, I think there are probably a couple questions we missed. I think I see them in the chat. And you can always leave a question down below. We do our best to answer them. Someone asked, Janet said, is it good to name your store something other different on eBay from what it is on Amazon? I don't think it matters one way or the other, honestly. I don't know that store names make any difference. The only way a store name might make any difference to a buyer is if they buy something from you and they see your store name and then assume that because of that you have other items of a certain type because of your store name. But I don't know that it really has any effect on anything.
It's really what you can keep track of. And you might want to, for ease of reference, it might be better for you to call them different things.
Yeah, you could.
Then it would be easy to know when you got notifications where it was coming from. I don't know.
Right.
But our names don't have anything to do with anything. Like you think you would be like Gene Dude or something, but he's not. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely not. How are shoe sales going? Not super fast. That Chicago guy, I would say. I still think I'm such a noob with shoes that I'm not really. I don't know. I might need to take a shoe boot camp. See what I did there?
Did you really just say that?
That's called a pun. But anyway, I might need to do that because I don't feel like I'm getting the sell through that I thought I would get with 130 listings or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe it's not a big thing. You know, maybe I'm just overthinking it there. But you know, they've been okay, but nothing to write home about. Jean sales, however, are picking up for sure.
Yeah, I sent you. Did you post any of those pictures on the socials today?
Not yet.
We had a big old overflowing mailbox to go to the post office today.
Yes, that was wonderful.
It was cool. Hey, and Drummer asked about our next September 9th. We're having a meetup. We're having our second
Yep.
meetup. So that's what's happening. Columbia, South Carolina this time.
When is the shoe boot camp starting? As soon as I can get Tino to get his butt in a car and drive across, you know, from Texas to here, it will
drive
happen.
Across the entire country.
Because I've already told him, I said, you know, you got a place to stay. You just got to get here. So he can source along the way, fill up his van. He'll be good. And then we'll do something together. We'll do like a video or something. I don't know.
He did say they were going to come visit.
They did kind of promise.
But they just got back from another trip. So
I don't know where we put them, honestly. We'd have to.
I would give them my bedroom in a
I'm not
heartbeat.
giving them out that bed. But anyway,
Sherry, Tino, we'll talk later.
Yeah. How's the working capital working out? Edward asked, great. I was honest, excuse me, paying back the loan I've paid back. Actually, I haven't looked in a few days. Probably paid back like 15% of it so far, maybe a little more than that. I don't know. I have to look and see. But we've used it once already to buy, you know, about 140 items. We have a plan to, we'll definitely source that September weekend,
right?
And 2 weekends, if not before then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely helping with the sourcing and so on. It hasn't really got, you know, severely phased me or affected me in terms of, you know, taking that 10% out of my sales each day. So I've had no complaints.
And Kelly asked earlier if you pay I don't know if it was answered in the chat, but do you pay yourself a percentage or a set salary every week? Kelly, if you're still here, you can ask that again. Or
it was more like a set salary, but recently it's just been a little bit more winging it. I'll just be honest. I mean, it has been. And that's only because of, with the variable sales in the summer, I felt like I was taking too much money back out of the business to sustain growth. So now I'm kind of trying to tweak it as I go. So
isn't it grand though? You can give yourself a raise this week or not.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you did so great last month. I'm going to give you a bonus, self.
Do you guys sell on Etsy?
Smile,
We do not. Sorry.
No, we do not yet.
How do you ship sweaters since they don't fit in padded flat rate? Oh, they'll fit. You just gotta.
No, so
what did you handed me those pair of jeans today? And you're like, here, you put these in the padded.
They
flat
were
rate.
Big old man jeans.
And I got them right in there.
Because you seem to think you can shove anything into a padded flat rate. So when he has that as the shipping, guess who gets to package those ones? Those up.
I did it.
You did.
There's just a few techniques.
And you didn't gloat at all, did you? I'm
just gloating now.
No, he gloated earlier too. Trust me. It was like, bam.
I was like, here you go. That was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, actually quite large jeans will fit in a padded flat rate. A lot of things will fit in a padded flat rate, believe it or not.
These were 40 30s, so they were just longer, and I didn't roll them in there.
Yeah, let's see. Prof and Miss Karen, do you offer offsite mentor type help for newbie? I've got over 500 listings and 0 sales last weekend. Yeah, that sounds like you got something very strange going on there, Rick. That's a little unusual. That's unusual. That's not even a little unusual. That's unusual. You'd have no sales with that many listings.
Yeah, just you can do that. Send us an email, Rick.
Yeah, send us an email because that's probably too much to get into here in the middle of the show. But you definitely have something. Probably want to know a few other questions before I answer that too well.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the largest? Drummer wants to know what's the largest jeans you ever fit into a padded flat rate. It was big. Like,
I'm pretty sure I got a 52-32 in once, but it's odd because there are some smaller jeans in that you cannot get in there because they're a thicker fabric. They just have a heavier a denim weave, and they just won't fit. It just really depends. It's not just the size of the jeans, it's almost how because they were like a pair of Sean Johns that were like 44 something, and they wouldn't fit. There's just no way they were. I don't know if they were 44, but they just would not go.
Well, they were like 44, like all the way down, and they had their
legs like a wide
like,
leg. Yeah, they were baggy wide and a baggy wide leg fit, and so it was a lot of material. Have you ever done a video where you show how to make them fit in the envelope? Yes.
And actually, we're getting ready to do a new one.
Yeah, I mean, I got to ask you guys. Here's a question. You can say in the chat, or if you're watching this later, you can answer in the comments. One of my most successful videos has been how to list jeans on eBay. And I'm going to be fully honest and transparent here. That video is sort of, I mean, and it's kind of because when I made that video, over a year ago, I was not very good at YouTube. Now I'm still not very good at YouTube, but I know that I'm not, so I can sort of counteract it. But if you guys, I'm thinking about just doing an updated version of that. Karn and I both, because we've learned so many things since then. And she wasn't part of that video at all. And I feel like, for the time and what I knew, it was really good. But if you guys would want to see another one, just let me know. I'd love to hear from that. I mean, and like I said, that video gets watched a lot. It ranks very highly in the search for listing jeans on eBay still. Most weeks it's in the top 10 for that particular search term. And it's been great. But I feel like I could do a much better job. But it's obviously going to be similar to what I did. It's just going to be better production quality, putting in what we've learned since then. I mean, it's not complicated, but I don't know.
Okay, I got to do this for Adam because we're talking about folding jeans. You got to know when to fold them, know when to hold them. I sing that song to him all the time, Adam. Know when to walk away, know when to run.
I'd like to say she's only like this on YouTube, but that's not the case. She's like this all the time.
I'm like this in real life. Probably worse.
Anthony says, hello from Middlesex, North Carolina. Enjoy your show. Hello, Anthony. Glad you are here.
Hey, Anthony.
We do not have the Anchor store. We have the premium. Wait, is that the middle one? I don't remember. It's whatever the middle one is, not the one that's 10,000 listings. That's too many. It's the one down from that. It's 1,000 listings per month with free insertion fees. That's the store we have. Would love to hear more updated things. Yes. Okay. So people tend to watch newer videos when they subscribe. So I think it'd be great. Yeah. And I just think we could do a much better job of it. Yeah. Like I haven't watched it in a while because I don't really tend to rewatch my videos because I was there.
Well, and one of the things we talked about redoing it is we stress quality control proactive before you buy it. And that avoids a lot of your defects, right? Because you're going to do it in the store. And I think there's a way we could approach that in the moment and you could apply it to anything. Because no matter what you buy, you're going to want to check X, Y, and Z before you ever put down any money for it.
Right.
And,
great point.
Clothing is no exception to how we do jeans, right? We're going to check the zipper to make sure it works. We're going to check for stains. Some things are universal. You're going to check at face value for a whole litany of things. So
yeah. And do you have a top jeans video? Someone said that's probably it in terms of views, but again, it's been out for well over a year. So I think some of the ones, I think there was one we did earlier this year, what sells on eBay jeans. I think that one actually has the ability to pass it eventually and it was a better video for lots of reasons, but we can do a better job with the listing one. So I'm just going to leave it like that.
We do not use UPS. Did I read that correctly without my glasses?
Right.
Where most of what we do is USPS.
Yeah. The vast majority. It's just cheaper.
Yeah. Cause we don't do Amazon anymore. So there's
Right.
really no need to.
Yeah. Let's see here. One other thing too I want to talk about, guys, was washing clothes.
Oh, that came up on Rebels this morning.
Yeah. So I did somebody said that updated jeans video with a stronger microphone. Yep. You're absolutely right, Donna. It was not great sound quality on that video. Yeah. You're all over it. So washing clothes. This video topic came up recently, and actually in our Rebels group, somebody posted a link to another channel about it. And this idea that, eBay says you can only sell clean pre-owned clothing. It brings up an interesting dilemma for jean sellers. Mm-hmm. This idea of washing all the clothes. And the person made the video because they wanted to point out, there can be nasty things on clothes and so on, which is all true. No one's going to argue, I think, against that. There's nasty things all around you. 18% of these have, what kind of matter on them.
Oh, we digress.
So, but this is one of the 4 out of 5. So anyway, see what I did there?
Yours does. Mine doesn't. Mine's perfect.
That's what I'm saying. Mine's one of the 4 out of 5 that doesn't. Come on. But I mean, things are just, there's germs and bacteria and things like that everywhere, guys. I mean, we all know this, but this idea that you need to wash all your clothes before you sell them, that brings up a lot of interesting questions because it's expensive, it's time consuming, it uses a lot of energy, it uses water, it uses detergent. You have the possibility of making someone allergic to something you wash it in, potentially. Mm-hmm. It's tricky. And I was reading an article too. I showed her about how lots of washing machines have all kinds of bacteria still in them. Mold can be in them if they're not cleaned out properly. Your dryer can do all kinds of crazy stuff, dryer sheets even. It just reminded me that we live in a dirty world. I'm just going to say it like that. We do. We live in a dirty world.
Dirty world.
There's all kinds of bacteria and just dirty things and, mold and dust mites. I mean, your bed is probably one of the dirtiest, dustiest places in your house. I promise you it is. But jeans bring up another question altogether. That being that there are certain jeans called raw jeans that are not made to be they're not made to be washed ever.
Yeah, they're not raw anymore. P.S. And by the way, if you wash them.
Right. So washing them technically can ruin them.
Mm-hmm.
It can shrink them down. You no longer can sell them as raw and washed. And you would actually destroy, what the jean was supposed to be. The other problem is when you wash jeans, you can shrink them. Jeans are here's reality, guys. I used to work for a company, that Gap, that sold an awful lot of jeans. And one of the things we would tell people is don't wash your jeans any more than is absolutely necessary because it wears them out. They are not meant to be washed a tremendous amount. And I'm not saying ever, but I'm just saying that they can take some wear and tear without being washed. So with other types of clothing, I can't comment on it because we don't sell enough of them. We don't sell enough, sweaters and t-shirts and button-ups and pullovers and things like that. But when it comes to jeans, and even if you do wash jeans, you really need to not dry them. Which that brings up other questions too, as we read today, like leaving your wash in the washing machine, even more than an hour can allow bacteria to grow in that wet mold and that moldy area.
And it recommended washing in hot water. Well, hot water will have an effect on the fabric as well.
It also takes more energy out of the environment. So it's like nothing you do here is perfectly good for everything.
Yeah, and it's tricky for jeans because remember those Not Your Daughter's jeans, NYDJ. Yeah, so they're made with a poly blend that if you put it in the dryer, it absolutely ruins the jeans. You cannot dry those jeans because they're special the way they fit. Yeah. And you can tell when you're in the wild and you find a pair that's been put in a dryer and it ruins. They're ruined. So
yeah, so I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, it's absolutely possible. Some of the things that were said in the video, I kind of didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand why clothing stores will let clothes sit out in a truck for a year without listing them or trying to sell them. or do something to them, but maybe they do. And if they, but it doesn't really matter. Clothing can get dirty or things on it really quickly. And the reality is this: most of us are pretty, we're pretty naive about where germs are and where things come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all paranoid about the toilet seat in the bathroom, and it's the door handle that's the dirtiest thing in the bathroom. It's the door handle by far. So, you know, we're just naive about a lot of things, you know. Or what was it? Somebody was telling me about the TSA the other day at the airport. They're like, the TSA agents all wear gloves so they don't get, you know, cooties. But then they're touching your stuff with those gloves. So they're touching the cooties and then putting the cooties on your stuff. And it's like,
you said cooties.
How does that even make sense? Well, it's your word. I didn't know what else to call it. But how does that even make sense? We're just we live in a dirty, germy world.
Dirty world.
And it's just the way it is, you know? So I'm not going to go off on a big tangent about washing clothes. I just think you need to use your head. Use your head. You know, if it doesn't seem like it's clean, I don't know why you'd buy it. I really don't. If it smells moldy or perfumed, or you can see visible stains on it, or anything that would make you think that this item is not clean for the most part, I don't buy it. We don't buy it. That's why we don't buy stuff and wash it and do all this work to it, because we don't buy stuff like that in the first place.
Did someone in the chat suggest taking like a new with tags, taking the tags off and then washing it? And
somebody was talking about that new with tags. You should, if it's been laying around in storage bins or things like that, it could still be dirty. And I'm going to tell you something, just because you buy something out of Macy's, you know, or, you know, whatever, pick your store of choice, Nordstrom, that doesn't mean it's clean there either, even though it's new. Guys, this stuff is everywhere.
Triple dog dare you to take that black light into Nordstrom's.
We just had the Whole Foods near us recently get their whole hot bar and buffet area shut down. This is a brand new store that opened 3 months ago?
Yeah. Because
of cleanliness and health department issues.
They got too many dings on their inspection, and they shut it all down and they started over again. It was quite something. You know, so-and-so wasn't wearing gloves to do this. This door was left open for longer than 7.3 seconds. I mean, it was just, you know, things that we would take for granted, but.
Yeah. I just think that use your head, try to sell things that are clean, or, you know, if it's new with tags, chances are it's clean. And if you want to go wash everything, knock yourself out. I think you're going to find, though, that doesn't solve the problem. It can create other problems. It's certainly expensive and time consuming, and it's not necessarily good for the environment either. So, I mean, there's no great answer to this question. So, you know, do what you want to do with that, guys. I don't know what to tell you on it. If you're going to sell clothing, pre-owned clothing, you're going to run into issues.
Well, and it's a trade-off. You have to sell clean items. So if that means, you know, going to Goodwill, getting a bunch of stuff and then washing it, that's gonna be all part of it. You can't not put that into your equation for how much time, talent, treasure, time, money, whatever that you put into it. And, you know, shoes are a completely different. There's things we can certainly do for shoes, and we will. Shoes are easier. I'll throw a pair of Keens in the washing machine like in nothing flat, because I have owned them and I know that they'll clean up and no problem. But, you know, there's different things you can do to disinfect shoes a lot easier, I think. Yeah.
But again, it goes back to, and in some cases you can, you know, if eBay wants to tell me you can't sell any clothing, any jeans that aren't washed, well, that just eliminated ever buying any raw denim, because it can't be washed. It'll be destroyed. And somebody might have worn it, and they might have gotten their cooties on it. I don't even know. But
so it's bittersweet. It's like, oh, we found, and then it's not.
You know, it puts you in just these weird spots. And some things, if you wash them, they get destroyed. If you don't wash them carefully. And again, you're sending them to an end user. You don't know what your detergents or dyes or so on they may react to. And you may think, well, I bought this one that's clean here, and this. You don't know. You know, you don't know what people are going to react to, or how they're going to react, or what it's going to do to them. So you got to make your own decision, whatever's right for you guys in your own business. I can't tell you. I just think that it's just one of those business decisions you're going to have to make on your own, and then just deal with it, however it really makes sense given your personal situation. So what about fabric Febreze fresheners to get rid of smells? Well, even there, it'll work, but even there's some people who are allergic to Febreze.
Yeah, be careful with the smelly stuff. Like the only thing that we really do about, I guess I can use shoes as an example, because everybody wants to say it came from a pet-free, smoke-free environment. First of all, we don't say that because we don't know, right? Pretending that you are the origin owner of the item that you sell is a little disingenuous, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So we just air it out. Like there's nothing you can do about cigarette smell on leather other than to air it out.
Yeah.
And with shoes,
or just don't buy it.
Yeah, we don't mask it because I think it's more important to disinfect it. So we have Clorox wipes that we'll wipe it down with.
Yeah, and Ark asked a good question. Does clean items mean we have to clean all the dirt rock off of soles of pre-owned shoes? That's a great question.
I do.
Yeah, but people don't. Tino doesn't. He doesn't clean the soles of the shoes. I mean, they're soles of shoes. I mean, they walk on the ground. They're not. It's not like you're going to be serving a casserole off of them. I just don't think that.
No.
Well, I mean, you could, but someone says we need germs to build our immune system. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you do. I mean, there's certain germs are better than others, though. Let's be clear. We don't need any more, anthrax, for instance.
Well, the next thing you're going to know, you're going to say some cooties are better than others. Really?
Well, they are. You use them.
Come on.
You use them to digest food. You have E. coli inside. You have salmonella inside. You have all these things, and you have to have some of them. But when you get too much, that's a problem. So anyway, think about, yeah, that's pretty funny. So do you charge more for germs?
Yes, drummer, we do.
Yeah. So if you want to charge more for your items, take a picture with a black light and say, hey, you could get clean items, but look what these have that you're getting for extra.
Yeah. Don't get the black light unless you really want to know. And that we talked about that in a whole nother video, a whole nother time.
Yeah. And someone said Lysol no scent spray works great, but be careful about that. Because remember what we read about the no scent stuff? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know if it's the Lysol, but yeah, go ahead.
They use masking agents sometimes to mask the real scent of the cleaners. But the masking agent can have its own side effects. To certain people, they can have asthmatic reactions. I mean, there's no perfect solution to any of this. There just really isn't. So is there a germ fetish out there?
Oh, no, did you see Thrifting 24/7? My postal lady smokes in her truck. And you're absolutely.
I would think she's not allowed to smoke while she's on the job, but I could be wrong.
But they're right. That gets right in. Like that's like.
Yeah, that's going to get in everything.
I hate to hear that.
Okay, so thrifting 24/7. You need to figure out a way you can take your items to the post office.
If that's an option.
If that's an option, because that's just ridiculous. And that's ridiculous, first of all, that they're smoking in the truck. It seems dumb. You're smoking around a bunch of paper. That doesn't seem like a smart idea anyway. But plus, it's going to get all over the mail. So
yeah, be careful with the smelly goody stuff because it's not necessary. It's only going to mask.
Yeah, we need Zena here, our resident chemist, to tell us about that.
Yeah, she's working, but she could tell you all about that and why you should wear gloves and why you shouldn't mix and be careful.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this show. So I hope that was helpful. We were definitely at the hour point, maybe even a little bit over. Anything else you want to say there? Trixie?
No, it's a Monday though, so I can say happy Monday. Hope you're.
Wow, that seemed with a lot of enthusiasm.
Oh, happy Monday! Hope everyone's killing it.
There was a group called the Happy Mondays. Did you know that?
No.
There was a music group. Anyway.
And happy first day of junior year to my little baby boy who can't hear me right now. Oh, there he is.
Just walked in. First day of school.
So happy for the Ben.
So we're going to go see how he did.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Scroll back to the beginning of the video. You can check out those tips. If you're new to the show, leave us a comment. Let us know how you liked it and what your thoughts were. We'd love to hear from you.
Or ask a question, because your question could very well be someone else's question, and we'd like to start a thread on it and get some interaction there. So I'm Karin.
And I'm Prof Sales saying
Good sales to you.